Welcome back to the Rave Story TV. And my guest today is very, very special, and I'm going to say dear to me, right? 30 years of promoting Unbroken as a rave promoter. His son going without ever stopping. And he loves to tell people, and I love to tell people, that I'm the longest serving DJ he's ever booked. This man's promoting brain, his passion, his feeling for rave, his love for it. He's second to none, and his dedication to this scene and making people dance is absolutely magic. Grant Epidemik, welcome along, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I love you.
Thanks for having me down.
I love you, mate. And it's been quite the journey, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly has. And hopefully a longer journey will continue.
What, another 30 years?
Another 30 years.
Another
30 years, I think.
Yeah, you're a unique old character, mate. You're literally, out of all the, it takes a unique character to promote, as it is. Most people last 3 years, 5 years, some get to 10, but 30 years, what is it that got you into promoting?
Well, it's like most things in life, very accidental, to be honest. I've actually been running events since 1982, so it makes me quite old. So,
wow!
And I did my first event at school. Like obviously you'd be at school then, and it was a bit of a tragic reason why I did this event. It was back in the days, back in the 80s, and we're all on our BMXs, and one of my mates he had an accident, and unfortunately he was in a coma. So I decided to put on an event at school, and because I've been passionate about music, like we all are growing up, and I did this event, and unfortunately the lad David, he passed away. But we were it was all half P to get in, little half Ps. Anyone remembers the half Ps? And we raised 50 quid for the family, and that's a lot of money back then. That was a lot of money, and that kind of got me into, we'd made people happy, and we did something for a reason. And I guess, you know, once the rave scene came along in the late 80s, I would, like everybody, you know, I'm just a raver still, hooked into this massive thing from the late 80s all through the 90s. And same again when I ended up starting Epidemik a lot later on. That was purely by accident as well, because really I tried to start out to become a DJ, is what I wanted to do, like everyone wants to do, and take the fame and I'm a DJ and all of that. But really there was a bigger problem. So I put on some underground events here, there and everywhere, locally in Essex, Braintree, Ipswich, places like that. And then from there, my local club was Oscars, with the famous 1 North Sea on the pier address. And Oscars was one of them clubs that was a weekly club, like the Four Aces, Labyrinth, Die Hard, Leicester, all the, you know, these pillars of clubs, raving venues all around the UK back then. And obviously you had your bigger raves, but Oscars to me was dear to home, and I was DJing there. And
wow,
and, yeah,
you was DJing at Oscars.
Yeah.
In all my years of like knowing you, of like you seriously
Yes.
sitting around the dinner table with you, coming around my house, you was a DJ. Grant, how have you kept this from me? Because I've always wondered, because your knowledge of music is amazing. Hang on a minute. I need to know. What was your DJ name at Oscars? What was you playing? I need to know.
So I had a couple of, this is an old tape, and this was when I was at school. So I was DJ Gunter, which sounds very German. And then later on, I changed my DJ name to Twilight. There was later an MC, Twilight, Brendan, on Dream FM. But I was a DJ Twilight at Oscars. And there was a couple of times, I think you played after me in the Cockney Pride, actually. So what was happening with the club...
You blow my mind here. You blow my mind. More. Come on.
The club was not in the greatest financial situation. And as the years rolled through Oscars, you know, we, as ravers, I was just a raver really. And the only reason I got booked was I was bringing bodies every week to try and help, bringing all your pals and, you know, we're all passionate about our music and we just love it. And, you know, so eventually the guy there said, well, why don't you put a night on? And I was like, well, not really, no. And then for my sins, I did. And that's pretty much where Epidemik was then born all them years later, because I kind of needed a name. I didn't know what to call it. Everything was called something dance, you know, Rain Dance, Moon Dance, United Dance. Something was always called dance, something dance. So I wanted something that could be anything, and it didn't really have much of a meaning, but could be everywhere. So the word Epidemik was chosen and deliberately spelt wrong with a K. And then, I took the club on for sort of 2-3 years until I literally ran out of all my money and I'd run out of money and was in a lot of debt. And I was like, oh dear, this is quite a difficult subject matter. Trying to put on parties is not an easy task.
It's very hard, isn't it?
It's a very hard task, as you well know yourself, running various different events over the many years yourself with different musics. And the challenge was then on me. It's like, and as we know, this industry's addictive. You're into the music. You want to try and do right by people. And look, every promoter wants the same thing. They want a really good party. They want the people. They want the energy. But to achieve that is a very difficult science. It's kind of a bit of a black art sometimes to try and pull that out of nowhere. And especially when our scene back then was still very underground. It wasn't overground. The overground has met the underground and it's become one thing these days. So rave is a now very cool word. Quarter of a century ago, rave was a very frowned upon word in most places, you know.
It was even frowned upon within the house scene in the time, you know, like the growing house scene in the world of Mixmag and DJ. It was even frowned in those circles, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was always looked down upon, and at work, in my real jobs and things, I was always a bit, I better not mention that, and that'll be looked upon, you know, in a bad light. And now you see it on the TV, all the adverts have got rave music, people in their 30s, 40s and 50s and are now the CEOs of companies. They were ravers. Even presenters on BBC were ravers back in the day and things like that. So it's become a cool thing. And this thing has lasted. They said it would never last, and it's still here. It's lasted. And the kids haven't come along and, you know, come with their new thing. Like, every music does need a revolution, like, you know, punk rock in the 70s or what, you know, all these scenes need rave. We had our revolution, and normally teenagers to 20-somethings aren't really cool with their parents' music as per se. They want to create their own record labels, their own music, their own thing. And you know, in today's scenes, that, you know, we're still here with the same stuff, a lot of it, you know, and that's great to see that we've survived the test of time, and it will always be here, you know. Rave will always be here.
It is mad that, like, someone said under one of my posts the other day about, you know, things like punk. We have a scene that's still weekly, like, you know, capturing the old school, and like it like you say, they said it would never die, but it like literally that old school period of 88 to 94 is still a scene.
Definitely, yeah. And because so much happened in such a short space of time, and often with a lot of scenes, like in the 60s, the Summer of Love in 67 to sort of early 70s, such a compressed amount of time. So many big groups came along, and, you know, that sort of thing. And the same in the 70s, punk rock didn't last long, Northern Soul. But these scenes are now revived. And you might get Teddy Boys, you might get Mods and Rockers, you might get... So each scene is kind of finds new fans of younger generations, and that's what we're finding a lot in the rave scene. We're finding, you know, your sons and daughters are loving your music, and
even grandkids.
Yeah, 2 to 3 generations now are going out as a family, nearly raving and enjoying the music. You know, and that's great to see that our music has not only survived the test of time, it's going to be here for a long time to come. But as promoters, that still doesn't make our life overly easy. Because there's like an abundance of promoters.
Because there's so many offshoots in there to what rave was. So like me and you, this channel, we are so locked into the authenticity of those early days. and we're always like, that is centre of what we do, but we also embrace new stuff. And all of the offshoots that have come off of that period, be it how big drum and bass is, how big it is, hardcore becomes, and all the offshoots. So even though we're authentic old school promoters, there is all these other offsprings that we have to fight against.
And they've grown into scenes in their own right.
Yeah.
Some of them have gone full circle themselves, where things like garage have stayed here, things like hard house have sort of subsided, but then they're back again, or hard trance, all these sort of subshoots of the scenes have their sort of cycles and evolutions and their journeys as well. But our core sort of tree trunk and the roots of what we are all from, sort of the acid house, early hardcore, evolves into jungle, evolves into garage, drum and bass, and then all these things shoot off as well, and house splits into however many strands, and but the ultimate thing is, do people want to go out and listen to repetitive beats and have a good time, forget their troubles? And that's really what people want, that escapism, and always will and always have done, and whatever age you are, music has no limits. So people enjoy it, it's like, the reggae scene or something, you're in that, you was born into that, maybe you love it, and then you're a fan of that music. It's in your soul. Music's in our soul, isn't it? It's part of our DNA. It's memories. It's everything, isn't it? It's our whole, quite an important part of our life. Music. So yeah,
it's a buzz, isn't it? Like giving people a good time. It's like, it's a buzz doing that as a promoter.
100%. Yeah, there's often a huge payoff. That could be a financial loss. It could financially. It could be a physical payoff. It could be a mentally. It's going to affect you. So there's a darker side to it. Isn't as easy as trying to put. Let's just put this line up. Let's just go with this, and then bam, it's all going to work. There's a bit more depth to it to make it feel right. It's kind of like being a chef in a kitchen, trying to get this thing on point, so that when you put this thing out there, it's done with the right feelings, it's done with the right kind of vibes, and the ravers connect with it. Is what you're trying to you're trying to get that feeling right.
Because with like promoting, like this is how people see promoting, and you've just touched on. There's so much to unpack in what you just said about the dark side, the mental health,
there very much
the monetary losses, right?
Yep.
Most people will see 1,500 people in a club. I mean, in this day and age, sometimes it's like 30 or 40 quid to get in an event, sometimes more. They see that and they work it all out, and they're like, oh, he's made 50 grand. But actually, it's the complete opposite, because there's so many costs involved with it. Also, most people, like I've played for probably thousands of promoters in my life, and most promoters, and this isn't to put any promoter who wants to have a go or he's in their first, second, third, fourth or fifth year, most promoters further down the line regret ever getting into it, because there's such huge financial losses. Would you say you've had more losses than you've had gains in that 30 years?
Definitely, and it's no different than walking in a gambling shop. Your odds are totally stacked against you. You're probably 60 to 85% you're going to lose your money. The breaking even might be less than 10%, and maybe the profit of standing the chance of making a profit might be between 5 and 10%. So you're looking to break even. That's a good result. If you're trying to run promoting as, it's a solid business, for me, it's my hobby and passion. So for me, the shackles are off. I gamble a set figure in that budget, and if win, lose or draw, that's how it's going to be. So promoting is quite addictive, like anything very addictive, very addictive. The same as trying to, being a DJ, a producer, any MC, anything connected with this scene, even being a raver, which is still, I always think, if you're not a raver in here, whether you're the top DJs in the world or the top producers in the world or the top promoters in the world, if you still don't have that, you lose this part, then I think your model's going to fall down. And that's the same. So I think the passion has to outweigh, are you doing it to make money? Yes. Yeah. Some corporate organisations are out here, and it very much is a huge business model for them now to try and make money out of this industry. But for me, it's not. The money is very low on the list, but there are payoffs. You know, relationships, you struggle with that because you're dedicating a lot of time to promoting. It is about putting in the work. People don't understand, you know, how much work you got to put in. You know, it's like the swan, it glides along, but you're paddling not anything underneath. And that's promoting. There's so many extra things. How much are you prepared to put in to make this thing work? And people don't quite understand that work rate or want to, and why should they? You know, if you're trying to learn to be...
You've promoted at every level, ain't you? From small clubs to festivals. You have seen the losses and the hard work at every possible level there is.
Yeah.
And like the thing is like, when DJs come on here, like life is full of ups and downs, right? But I can say this from like a DJ's point of view. As a DJ, I walk in everywhere and like it's like boom, there you go. Sometimes a week's wage, a month's wage for an hour set, and off I go. Me and you are very fortunate in that, like you say, you've got your job and you promoting's your hobby. My DJing and my music, as you know, funds my promoting. If I was to just say, if me and you today were to join up and go, come on, we're just promoters, that's it, we wouldn't be here. It would
be a very weak business model, indeed, to just put all your eggs in that one thing. I think promoting is sometimes a subsidiary of maybe where you're at, you know, and it's hard to let it go. I'm one of the promoters that has been solidly doing it. A lot of the big brands that came along, short-lived and still talked about to this day, phenomenal early acid house parties or something like that. And then you got your solid promoters that have carried on but might have stopped through the mid-90s. And there's nothing wrong in stopping at any stage for whatever reasons. But to keep it going when maybe this scene wasn't quite so fashionable, and that's what someone like myself did. So I wouldn't have cared if 3 people had turned up, 300 or 1,300 or 13,000. It wasn't about that. It was about, we want to keep this thing going because we're passionate about it and want to dedicate the time, money, energy to it. And that's one of the reasons why, because I didn't want it to be selfish just about me and my brand. I started a flyer pack, which I then ran for 28 years. So
I remember,
pre-internet and even during the internet, and even to this day, I still flyer. But I set a flyer pack up to try and join our scene together a little bit, because it can be a little bit, oh, you're on this date, we're on that date, and then it gets a bit muddied and complicated, and there's only so many ravers to go round. And so the flyer pack was kind of a system to help giving outside at the end of the night for sort of the last couple of hours. And I just want to thank anyone that's ever helped me with that, been part of that, helped collate the flyers, been up and down the UK with me in all weathers, all conditions, at very unsociable hours. We've put in a shift and a half for many, many promoters to just try and get the message out there for their events, you know, to sort of... So it was quite an honourable thing to run a flyer pack up until pretty much COVID struck in. Actually, we decided to sort of stop the pack, but it was quite a journey to run a flyer pack and then link with all those promoters up and down the UK and see how they do it and is what they do different to ours and things like that, and just see the different scenes in the different areas. And that's very inspiring when maybe they can give you advice, maybe you can give them advice. So there is a bit of a community sometimes amongst promoters that they might not want to talk about, but we all used to try and avoid each other's dates where we could, and try and work together a little bit more, just for the better of the scene, and it's better for the ravers. But that's sort of all gone out the window in recent years because everyone's just does what they want to do.
There's kind of more events than there's ever been. I want to talk about, right, I want to go back and forth with things, because like
there's a lot there.
You've fascinated me, like the fact that I've known you for that long, and I never even knew that you DJ'd at Oscars. I also want to go back to some of like the raves that inspired you before you put on events, and for me, it's like there's ups and downs in DJing, but we live it's a pretty easy task. Whereas promoting, the highs of like, forget the money, just seeing people dance is enough for all of us who promote, right? But so as people understand like some of the financial losses that you've been through to get to that buzz that you love. Because I always say we are professional gamblers. As promoters, we're 100%, professional gamblers. Tell us some of the losses you've been through with like the losses, Oscars, festivals, like just so as people can understand your dedication to this. Yeah,
it's kind of like, how far do you go? And it literally is like gambling. How far do you go when you know, oh dear, I should not have done that, or should have stopped, or I've caused myself debt. So Oscars, I was throwing lots of money and trying to keep a weekly club going. So I've done monthlies, weeklies, one-off festivals, sort of illegal big events, underground, this, that, little small events for 50 people, 100 people. But when you're trying to keep a weekly club going and you've got all the costs, sound system, bar staff, there's rates, business, it's a different world. And I admire anyone that keeps their venues running. It's not easy to keep a club running, and we always see more and more venues being shut down. So always please support your local events and your local venues. But for me at Oscars, I had to call it a day in sort of late 1999, and I was just piling up debt every week, and I was sort of pulling 200-300 people, and I sort of needed 500-600 people to break even, and so the debts would going up and up, and I was getting 2 or 3 jobs. I was working night shifts all day Saturday, then I'm running the event and Saturday night, I'm losing all my money, and I had to call it a day. And I remember a certain DJ driving off in a brand new M3, and I thought, well, yeah, it's quite nice. And then Monday morning I had to sell my car, and I never had a car for the next 7 years because I just couldn't afford to run a car, and I'd caused myself a lot of debts, and I was working 3 jobs to then pay off all of what I tried to create. So, and that takes you into, some people might never come back from that, and I wouldn't blame anyone. And then it's, can you dust yourself off and then carry on? Why would you carry on? And you know, it's similar with festivals. I've took huge losses on a festival or two, and these are life-changing things, I'm afraid, that they happen, you know, and no one likes to talk about that side of it. You know, you're ending up homeless or something, which has happened to me. It's like, bloody hell, that's, you know, that's different. And now what do I do? And, you know, so you're learning all the time of, people don't ever want to talk about that. And why should they? They just want to come and dance, and the artists just want to come and take their wages and go, and then they'll move on to the next thing. And you know, so to try and survive the test of time, you've really got to start to then think, yeah, I need to be more sensible about the money, and try and get a formula that works, and get the faith of artists, ravers, and get the spirit of what you're doing right, and do people want to come to your event? And I think if you can kind of do it with a fair amount of genuineness, and you're helping artists on their journey. So I'm often booking people of all levels of talent to start their careers off, or help. There's deeper meanings and layers to what I do. I don't just go and book a load of people that might be popular at that time, or there's a journey to what I do. No one will ever see that, only me. But there's reasons, and that makes it feel more authentic and genuine, and there's more purpose to it, and it's just nice to sort of see different things. And I've tried to remain quite a multi-arena event, not just, often I have gone down one sort of avenue musically, but I've tried to still embrace the other strands, because we just want to keep that authenticness of rave going, you know, and keep it to the, you know, I still go out and have a good time and have a good dance.
You do go out and have a good time.
And I want to go out and have a good time, because who knows how long we're all going to be here. So you don't just go, well, aren't you too old for that now? Well, no, you if it's something you like doing and enjoying it, you're not hurting anyone else, and you want to go out and have a rave up and a dance and see your mates, and why not? At any age, there's no rules to this thing, but certain people, well, what do you want to do then? Just sit in an armchair and watch telly for the rest of your life or something, you know? So I think anyone that's into our scene, it connects us all. Even coming here today, I come by train. I was going to drive. I came by train, and just walking through 3 different train stations, I saw 2 different people that stopped me, that recognised me, who are ravers. You'd never get that in any other circles of life. You just instantly connect with people, and they remember you, or you remember them, and you shared a moment, you shared a memory, you shared, the same passion. And that's why we do this, isn't
You've
it?
entertained hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, but yeah, like every step of the way that I've been with you as a DJ, and we've partnered up and promoted a lot of events together. Like I've like been alongside you when like you really have lost 50 plus grand on a festival, or you really have lost your house, and most people would think, boy, this geezer's crazy, hence why they call you Crazy Grant. That's your tagline, Crazy Grant.
I look at it, we're not hit. Money is I think people get very caught up in money in life, and we need money to live, but we're all on a journey, okay? We're all on a journey, and money's just a thing. It's just a thing that we need to go and do something, or pay our bills, or pay for something that we want to go and do, or something like that. So I look at it, if you're a grafter, which I am, you can always earn more money. You can always maybe go and get a better job, or you can go and get 2 or 3 jobs. You can clear yourself out of debt, and you can make yourself, in a very good financial position if you train yourself and look a bit deeper in life. Don't get yourself in debt. You don't have to buy new things. You don't have to do this. You can cut back here. Be clever with your finances, and then you can then do your hobbies, and that's what I do with this. So it's no different than someone buying a really expensive. Look, it makes no sense. A bunch of blokes get a second-hand car, they put it in a garage and do it up, and they spend 3 years doing it up. They spend 4 times what it's worth doing it up, and then at the end of it, it's worth like a tenth of what it is. But the point is, it was the process. They got these bits made. They were there every weekend spraying the car, and the memories of that car. And it wasn't about trying to make money. It was about the fact that these guys wanted to maybe go and do a car up. So everyone's got hobbies, and as long as you keep things under control. And yeah, there have been times where I've gambled too much and paid the price, and I've had to take that. That's what you've got to realise. When these things have gone wrong in life, you're gonna fail at nearly everything you do in life, I'm afraid, and you're gonna fall down, 7 times, and you've got to get up 8, and maybe on the 9th or 10th or 100th or 500th go, if you're determined, you will make something work. So it isn't really crazy. It's that level of determination. I think that is something that we don't maybe all have, and I don't. So for me, when other promoters might get funny with me, or I've lost money, or this has happened, all that, I look at it, not a lot can hurt me, because I've pretty much had the most amount of impact done to me. So yeah, we were always, every event is, is it going to work, isn't it? But it's still like, well, no one made me do it. So we've put this thing on. Can it work? And if it does, brilliant. If it doesn't, we need to look, lick your wounds and go away and come again. If you're passionate about your journey and what you're doing. I do appreciate, I'm not knocking anyone that has stopped promoting, to focus on their family life, to focus on maybe their careers, to focus on other things, or just don't want to take the hits anymore. There's nothing wrong in that. You've calibrated yourself, and you've adjusted, and you've moved on. But for me, I am very passionate about the rave and the music, and I enjoy it. And if the day I don't enjoy it will be the day I maybe stop.
Yeah, you really are. Like, that's one thing about you. You are so passionate about the rave scene, and over the years, I've done posts where like I've bigged up you, Funky Moon Dance, Richard Rain Dance, those people who still have that, like the lifers, the people who like week in, week out, lifers at promoting. And like a lot of our friends do get either ill in health and have to take 10 years or 5 years out, or move into other areas. But there's certain people, like Eastman with Cool FM, Paulie Beefer, there's people who are like solid, and it takes a special person. Your nickname for so long was Crazy Grant. Why did you get the nickname Crazy Grant?
It's probably for various reasons, because probably I can't dance to save me life.
You can dance. Don't give me. He's a good dancer, everyone.
So I rave. You know, once that music's going, and I'm into losing myself, which we all do, whether you're just sitting at home or you're driving to work, or music. We can escape in music, and I think I've needed that escapism in my life because my day job and other things are quite pressured orientated. So I love to have the escapism of music, and probably I'm crazy because I have took the hits and carried on. It's kind of like a boxer who doesn't know when to stop, or anyone in life that doesn't know when to maybe stop. Most 99 out of 100 would. I was the one that didn't, and yeah. Respect to all the other people that kept their brands and events going when this thing wasn't so fashionable. So we were passionate, whether this thing was good or bad, we were carrying it on because we wanted to. And if you know, and that's quite an important asset to have. I think I see so many frustrated artists online. Oh, I need this, or where's my breaks? But you wouldn't be doing it if you're passionate about. You're going to DJ, you can DJ. If you're passionate, you want to go and make music and sit in your studio 30 hours a week in your little, and you're gonna do that anyway. If something really good comes out the end and you've connected with people to share that, then fantastic. But I understand people, they kind of lose why are you doing this? So I have to remind myself, why am I doing it, and do I still enjoy it? And that's really what you got to take out of it, really, is that side of it.
You say about DJs, you've given some incredible DJs and MCs their, either if not their first breaks, their very early breaks in lifting them up.
Yeah.
Tell people some of the DJs and MCs who you've been with all the way from their start.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I'm always trying to help artists that I believe in or see something special about them, or they may be the other way around. They see something about our brand and us or me or what we're doing, and they're like, yeah, we want to be part of that. But it isn't easy. So yeah, in the early days, Logan D, I think about 13, giving him bookings, X-Man very early on. I mean, Kevin X-Man, and it's before he was called X-Man, he used to drive all the way from Brockley, South London, all the way up the A12 to Clacton there every week, come and MC, literally for nothing back then, because he was passionate about what he wanted to do, and he would be there, and you could see there was something there with him. And now you know he's top of his game. And you know, Mosey used to help make our flyer packs. In recent times, Mosey has stratified into a huge artist, and he used to work with us. So yeah, and I'm always trying to help support younger artists, or you know, female artists. It's nothing new, all this book female artists. We were doing that from the start, or booking people with, you know, different things. Or it's never been about, we're trying, you know, people will probably go, oh, well, they're all cliquey. Or each camp, yeah, you have your residents, you have your crew, and you have your people. And yeah, for me, without my crew and people around me, I can't do what I do. So you do need solid people around you when you're trying to run events, and good people around you. And it, you know, some of them stick with me for 2 or 3 years. Some are still here 10, 15 years later.
You've got some loyal people, because you do go crazy whilst organising an event, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you've got an amazing team of people who have worked with you.
Definitely, yeah. I want to big all up the past, present, and future people that have been anything to do with Epidemik or me, or having to tolerate me going crazy or whatever. They are the backbone that have kept this thing going with me and believed in me, and I've believed in them. And there's nothing better when that feeling when you go, yeah, we've done this or whatever, or you know, you need that. You need to bounce off people, because unfortunately, like I think for all of us in music, we have this point of, I want to touch on this, where we feel very lonely. Now, me as a raver, I became a raver because I didn't like going up the pub anymore, or getting in fights, or getting drunk, or didn't want to do this. It wasn't my thing. I needed something. I found this raves, the music. I found this thing, and it didn't matter if I went on my own. You might have felt lonely going there, but once you got there, you did not feel on your own. And often the rave scene collects up quite a few lonely souls or troubled people, and we all come together with our music and enjoy it, and then maybe make friends, or like people meet their partners there even, and you're then hooked into this thing, and you can't quite, and you're in this thing, and this thing's in you, and it's a very powerful thing, I think, the rave scene, and it's 100%. Very good for, it's sort of a self-therapy. Obviously, if you're too much into the drink or drugs or the wrong, these sides of the scene, then there's health issues on various levels that are going to impact your life. But if you're really in it because of the music and the passion and the connection and the people, that's it's the same as going to like gospel singing at the church or something. It's very powerful, and that's what I find so powerful about our music and our scene is that power. You can't quite describe it, and it's different. And the thing is, it's different for all of us. That journey is different for all of us. So as I said, I never planned to be a raver or a promoter or anything like that. It just sort of came upon me, and I've kind of somehow ended up carrying it on.
I love that, mate. Like Joe Labyrinth, when he was on, like he said there was things he didn't like, and he felt a bit outside in places. And do you remember, like in the early days of rave, it was like a secret society,
I loved that part. I loved it when it was underground, and you had to find a convoy or find this or phone a phone box or find where the raves were, and that era was a very special era because it felt like, wow, this music. And then this music did end up in the charts, and Prodigy and people they tried to push it away. The big corporations hadn't quite bought into, people like Sony hadn't thought, oh, maybe we should grab this. They kind of thought, us a fad that'll be finished in a couple of years. Well, 3 decades later, it's still as popular as it was then, if not more. And now, hence why they've took over, and all these things in the charts. Look at drum and bass in the top 10 and everything that's now here in front of us. And some of us could go, oh, we don't like the overground, or we don't like this. But the way I look at it is the music has spread, and it's always on a journey. Look, you can't grab hold of this scene or music. It's like water; it flows through. You can't control it. Even the corporations, I can't control it. You can't control it, and even the corporations. If there's something sparked there, it will find its way. It will, and that's what I quite like about music overall, let alone the rave scene.
Well, when the vibe's right, people will find it, and it become organic. And I've always felt that, like music, whether you're a DJ playing music, whether you're a promoter pushing music, whether you're an MC hosting, MCing over music, if what you're doing is a vibe and a passion and genuine, people will find it. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it keeps moving and
you
growing.
Find your thing, and you might go to something, could be an R&B event, this event, that event, a psytrance event, and then you connect maybe more with a certain type of the scene you want to be into. And I think that's when you find like-minded souls and people, and you think, oh wow, I found this. And I think back in them early days of rave, we were like, wow, this thing, and it felt more naughtier because you're in some warehouse all night, and we didn't have all-nighters back then. It wasn't until 91 all-nighters were made legal, so it was quite a new experience. Now I appreciate the younger people watching or listening. For them, it's just, oh, well, everything's in front of you now. But I still think they experience it equally with equal passion when they're finding their thing or creating their thing. So they will come along and they will maybe create their new scene or musics, or they might look at us, ooh, them lot over there, we'll create our own thing here. And that's, as you just said, organic. And music is really good when that naturally happens. When it's not being forced so much. Yeah,
you say about the new generations there. How do you feel about the people who, like the people our age who don't go out, see a snapshot on the internet of, let's say, I was on the train a few days ago coming back from doing a podcast actually, and a guy stops me, and he was pointing at me on the train going like that. And he got up off his chair and he was actually listening to one of the podcasts on the train. And straight away, like the first line of conversation was, I love all the music you lot do. These kids these days, all they are is on their phone when I look at the internet. And I said, wait a minute. I said, back in the day, you'd have your underground raves, and then you'd have your Sharon and Tracy or your more Ibiza style. The music that you were in, he was talking about going to Coco at Camden Palace then, Paradise Club, Four Aces, Rocket. So how I said to him was, look, when you see a snapshot, a 15-second snapshot in Ibiza of like this wishy-washy house music and 2,000 kids who like are all dressed the same, holding their phone up, that is not a representation of the young and old people who are coming to a rave like Epidemik, right? And I framed it to him like, look, you're looking at commercial cheesy dance clubs which you wouldn't have gone to back in the day, so don't lob that in with what we all do. And he sat there and he went, I've never thought about it like that. I said, now go and look at videos of Epidemik and Rain Dance or Moon Dance, and you don't see that. What do you think of the world of people who think everyone's on their phones when they're not actually in a rave?
Yeah. Often, these cliches are out there. Well, don't go digital. You've got to use vinyl back in the day and this and that, and everyone's got their phones out. But if we'd have had our phones, if we'd have had that tech back then, we'd have done the same. Is the ultimate. That would have been no different. But in reality, most of the raves that we're involved with and do, that is not, people haven't all got their phones out. But if they want to capture a little moment or take photos or selfies, then they're going to. And there's nothing wrong in that at any age. So it's your experience to how you want to do it at that. So, that's, but there is a kind of, all these things build up in people's heads. And it kind of balloons out, and they're like, "Oh no, you shouldn't be doing that," or "Why are they doing this?" Or so. It's nothing wrong in any of that at all.
Yeah, like at your 30th, there was like, when I think of my set, there was we just don't see legions of people on their phones. But like I had a guy the other week, I put a live set up of Moon Dance of. I set a Moon Dance at Coco. There's literally one person on the phone in this video, right? And this bloke leaves this damning like analysis.
Because
get them people off their phone. And sometimes I reply if I got time, and I replied and I said, mate, I've looked back and there's literally one person on their phone. You know what the guy said to me? He went, sorry, mate, I was at home drunk and really angry at life, and I just see everyone on their phone.
That sums up social media. We're in an era, unfortunately, where social media isn't quite so social. It's quite damaging and antisocial. And when we see things, all of us, me, everybody, we sometimes jump very quickly to the wrong conclusion. Or because we're in a weird mood or had a bad day, we then maybe would put a bad response. Or we're not thinking always straight. We get hooked into scrolling through. And I just try not to do any of that anymore. And then, one person can come along and they're entitled to their opinions or opinion. And then it just dampens your whole energy. And you're like, why have they come at me or come at them like that? Or what's their... But you never quite know the reasons why they've put that. And everyone's a keyboard warrior kind of era we're in. Hopefully, we'll evolve out of that in a few years to come. And
quicker than a few years.
The younger lot coming up will be like, why do all these people argue online about absolutely nothing that makes any sense, really? Or so I think that as like when the internet come along, it's very handy for promoters like me. Let's get my stuff out. Back in the days of PHP forums, MySpace, Don't Stay In, and we've seen the evolution of the internet with what we do with promoting, and we've used those and utilised those tools as we've gone along. But social media is sort of at its peak of everyone thinks maybe everyone else is doing better in life, so they then think, well, I want that, and why are they standing next to a flash car, or they look happy, and maybe they're not, they just took a photo that day, and and you don't quite know. We can all portray a totally different side of us online to what we are really as people. So I think we all need to maybe learn from that message, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't take it too seriously. And dial in and out as you deem as you want to, but do take a digital detox and break from these things. And yet again, that's why I prefer to be at the rave itself with people dancing, feeling the atmosphere, feeling the energy, feeling and losing yourself in the moment.
Rather than looking in at a 15-second clip of a
yeah.
Sharon and Tracy club in Ibiza going, they don't rave like I used to at Fantasia.
Yeah.
They're different. They're completely different things.
And I think you just nailed it there. There's a huge percentage of older ravers that, because of their families, job commitments, they were raving, say, in them golden eras all through the 90s or even through the noughties, but they've never lost their love for the music, but they now and again look in. They don't go out. They probably never go out, maybe once a year, because their lives are different. There's nothing wrong in that. And then they suddenly get all these opinions. And they're like, it's like, well, that isn't how it is. Just go out and experience it again or dare to go out. And that's why we do see these resurgences of the scenes, like the classic house, the club classics is a very strong scene. All those 90s house ravers now are coming out again 20, 30 years. They want to re-embrace, because they used to go out clubbing weekly. We all used to go, it was like a religion for us. We'd go out every week, every Friday, every Saturday, and we'd go clubbing all weekend, sometimes even all days on Sundays. And that was our religion, and then these people have had families or whatever, and then they've suddenly gone, oh, we've got a bit of extra money every month now, and to the missus, well, should we just? Well, we've seen that. That's all of the DJs we used to listen to. That looks really. And then they go out once or twice, and then before you know it, they're going out now monthly or nearly fortnightly. Some of them back to nearly going out every week, and I find that really good. They've recaptured their youth. Look, sometimes we're just trying to recapture some memories or good times we had, and we want to experience it and love those moments again. And there's nothing wrong in that, because we have fond memories of it.
Well, that's mine and yours passion, isn't it? Evoking those memories in people as DJs, as promoters, our MC mates, our producer mates. That's what we our life is dedicated to, evoking that spirit in people.
Yeah, and it's there. You meet someone and they haven't been out for 25 years, and they hear a track, and it just instantly they connect with it, and they're like, oh yeah, and I remember, it ain't as good as it was back in our day, and all that sort of lot. But it's still out here, and it's always going to be.
Yeah, there can be no hierarchy on
no,
fun.
not at all.
There can be no. That's the thing for me. How many parties, right, have you worked out? How, like, from small clubs to tours to massive stages at festivals to your own festivals to doing, like, having your DJs host rooms around the country. Have you ever worked out how many events and parties you've put on?
I've not, but it's got to be in the high hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 overall, from doing weeklies back at Oscars to all the events. Yeah, and as you know, we've worked with lots of other promoters over the years, hosting arenas or doing other things, plus our own projects. So it's got to be a very high number. I've never sat and actually counted them all up, because it'd probably be, oh, Christ, have I really done that amount of events? But it's not a competition, trust me. It's not who does the most, it's not, or who does the biggest, or who does whatever. It's, are you doing it because you want to do it? And I think that's. It would be
fascinating to know how many you've. When you go home, you do that and message me.
Or maybe sit there.
It would take a long time
to work it out.
30 years, like literally unbroken. Not a month or a year off of promoting, even when you broke your leg that time. Fascinating. Right, I want to go back. To like you discovering acid house, rave, 88, 89, and like what your like growing up was like, and then discovering that from like being putting on local events and events at school to raise money, like life where you grew up, then discovering like the acid house scene.
Well, probably back, I grew up in the 70s, and probably like most lower class, sort of working class families back then, life was unfortunately a bit grim in the 70s, and my mum and dad were very poor, and back then we didn't have carpets on the floor, no heating, we didn't have a television, but we did have music. Someone gave us a record player, and my dad was into Pink Floyd and things like that, and I was listening to this as a young kid and growing up with that. But my mum was even cooler. She was into Led Zeppelin, and she used to follow them in the late 60s, early 70s, and I got really into like that sort of blues and heavy metal stuff and Deep Purple and bands like that. And I'm a Zeppelin fan, you know. I just love the intricacies, and I love music that doesn't always have lots of lyrics. And I like all music. Could be pop music, could be something cheesy, even ABBA in the 70s, things like. But I always liked as a kid the tunes that would last longer, like an EP. And Led Zeppelin were famous for their long tracks or doing EPs, and so I would listen and listen and listen, and I got my love for music kind of like we all do at an early age, and it sticks with us through the bad times. You know, your music's there when nothing else is, and you didn't really care. Luckily, we didn't have the internet, and we've got the must-haves, or we've got to have this, or at school. And God bless school uniforms, for example. We couldn't afford clothes. Without a school uniform, I wouldn't have had any clothes. It was like that. So, yeah. And if the other kids have had all this flash labels or whatever, I wouldn't have had anything. So the good thing with I used to look back, and the good things with things like school dinners, I got some food. You know, food was hard to come by. The basics of life, which always makes us humble when we look back. But the love was there. My mum loved me to bits, and she's really inspired me. She still loves her music to this day, absolutely loves music. And I think that's where I've got my love of music from, is from her, really. Yeah. And she's really down with all the new stuff, and she has no limits to music. It's just, it could be Mozart, it could be this, it could be that, it could be... that we don't, same as me, the industry and things productise stuff or make you think. If you just like listening to something and your ear connects to it, then you enjoy it, don't you? And that's there are no limits and boundaries with it. You people perceive that on you, but I won't allow that. So I kind of got that, and then through school, obviously, you like your music. I'd obviously put this party on for the sad David there who passed away, and that's where I got the bug. And then when I was leaving school, the acid house thing come along, and I was going to events like, you know, biology and things like this, and going to some of them early big warehouse raves or illegal raves, and I'm like, wow, this is better than going up the pub, innit, and having people punching me head in or something. This is I like this, and that's where it came from. And then clubs like the Four Aces came along, where yourself, you know, and that was a very, very special venue to our rave scene. A very, you know, used to go there on weeklies, and then the same for Oscars. It was closer to me. And then, the journey, you're immersed, and you're kind of in this thing, aren't you? You're just in it. And that story there goes for all of us as ravers. They're no different to thousands of people's stories would be exactly the same.
Yeah, can you remember like biology vividly in that like 89 period and going? Did you pop a little one?
I don't remember a lot about that that year because I was too busy having a good time, you could say.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere, the atmosphere back then was, and you still can create that today with events, but it was electric because of, as we know, everything came together at once. The government kind of trying to suppress it versus maybe the drug culture versus the actual explosion of that music all at once. The recipe, it's like everything exploded at the right time, and we were so lucky to grow up through that era, and it was so good to absolutely bloody fantastic to experience it every weekend, wasn't it? We were like, wow, this is. And you kind of felt no one got it. But there was obviously 40, 50, 100,000, 200,000, 250,000 ravers going out every weekend. But when you're back in your job and all that, you thought, oh, they don't get this. And you couldn't wait for Friday, Saturday night to go back out again, could you?
Yeah, love that. So the DJ thing in that time, was you buying a lot of records, Grant?
I've been collecting records. So
I know you're a collector.
Yeah, from my mum's influence, I was collecting all like the 60s albums and some 70s, 80s bits, and I've sold a lot of vinyl, sadly. But I then obviously got into buying like the Raves vinyl. and like we all did, we go and blow your week's salary down on a Saturday or wherever at some, your local record shop, or go down to black market in Soho or wherever, you'd go to your record shop, your local record shop, try and get deals with them. Before you know it, all your wages has gone on some test presses or white labels or something that's come out, and if you're lucky, you've got some sent to you, and you write some reaction forms or whatever and send them back. And then, I was getting in, I had my old belt drive sound labs, trying to learn how to mix, and and they're very sensitive. And then, eventually I got a pair of 1200s that I've still got to this day. So, I love me vinyl and collecting vinyl, and no, the same story yet again. There'll be thousands of people where they were just hooked into buying vinyl, and I wasn't just limited to one scene. Again, if I liked that track, I would buy it. And when I see scenes split up, it kind of always broke my heart a little bit. And I kind of see why certain scenes did break up for various reasons, but I might just like that track. So I'll buy that tune. Not, well, that's that, or that's jungle, or that's garage, or that's drum and bass, or that's happy hardcore, or that's... because I like the track, I'll buy the track. And that's how I would... That's my filter.
Could you mix? Honestly.
To an extent... It's been a long time since I've done it, but I did learn by ear, like we all did, which is the best way to learn. No BPM counters on mixers back in the early days, and obviously now with the digital era, it's a totally different game altogether. But I think it's good to learn the old using vinyl. Very tactile, isn't it? Vinyl, you can't beat it, as you know. You're an avid collector. You've got all the record sleeves, you've got this, and I know you're into you've got all your old hip hop and things like that. And it's just something about putting on a record, the nostalgia and the feeling and the memories, and that's why it's a huge resurgence, isn't it? The youngsters have found this medium again, and they've gone, wow, this is cool, and they have them same feelings we do.
It's mad with the vinyl, because I am such an avid collector of it. But, and I say this openly, the vinyl does not make you a DJ. The vinyl does not make you a real DJ. The vinyl is, but it's such a, I still get that buzz when I go out into my room, like, start digging through things. It's more of a feeling and an experience. It's a personal, selfish one. Like whether I DJ out vinyl or whether I DJ out digital is an irrelevance to the dance.
The tools used today, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but as it's like a personal thing. Like I do, as you know, I do radio 4 hours a week, but what I would listen to for 4 hours in my room is completely different. It's
because you love music in period. So, and your collection, I remember there was a time when you was not so into vinyl. I think it's when you first got your controller, and I remember being around you a lot, and you was very anti, and then it was, and then all of a sudden, a few years later, you got really into your vinyl again. And then you even started to do a few vinyl sets and stuff.
Like 6 hours stuff.
You actually wanted to push playing out vinyl for a personal one, especially like maybe even playing very difficult 89, 88, 89 tracks that don't have the intros or outros. You've really got to know your tracks and the drops and where and what to get those tunes weren't designed to be mixed like modern tunes and stuff. So, to put those sort of sets together is quite a craft.
Yeah, because that era when the controllers or, Serato or all of that stuff, Tractor, Pioneer, all first started coming in, I wanted to embrace it. I was like, come on, I want to learn. And, when you do something full time and it's your life round the clock, you've got to keep learning. You'd be a fool not to keep learning. So
that stops a lot of vinyl only DJs, and there's nothing wrong. Stick to your vinyl, but if you actually want to do this and play out, you're going to have to embrace all the tools. A lot of people, I remember people were very anti-CDs when CD players come out, and they were very, very, I'm never going to do that and never going to do that and never going to, make sure you got 1210s there, Grant, on your event. I'm not using them CDJs, I'm not using them. And I had quite a lot of DJs I used to book who refused, and eventually they did go to CD and start burning their tunes and suddenly realised, I haven't got to go and get these tracks cut and I can save money and just burn it to CD and test this track out. And there are advantages to actually doing it this way. So they started to think, hang on, and it's easier. I ain't got to carry these record boxes around and stuff, and stuff. I've got needles jumping. I haven't got this happening. I haven't got that happening. So eventually they kind of embraced it.
Yeah, do you know what it does for me? It gives me extra freedom, like because I was willing to learn. Like I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but in the late 90s, CDJ 100s, we've moved so far on, but there was a lead that had like a head shell in it that you could take a CDJ 100 out, plug the head shell into the 1210s, and if you'd made a track, it was a faff. It was. I remember doing it at Freedom at Bagley's. It was a faff doing it, and down at the country club in Yeovil, wherever I went. To be fair, and it became a thing in like the late 90s where DJs would take this.
To test that track out.
Test the track out.
Yeah.
And as the technology's moved on as a DJ, especially someone like you who's booked me continually, I have to move with the times. But what I have now is the freedom to go, well, if I'm in the mood to play vinyl, I will.
Yep.
If I'm in the mood to be digital, I will.
Yep.
Sometimes if I'm in the mood, I'll do both. And I truly, like you as a promoter, are not going, I only want vinyl DJs because they're real DJs, because that's not the case.
No,
it's got to be, that has got to be the most narrow-minded thing any self-respecting person who wants to be a DJ could say.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got to embrace all the technologies. Yeah. I mean, you've even got some of the kids, little young Pulsar, who smashes it on vinyl. So I love seeing things like that, where some of the younger generations, and picking up on things like vinyl and going, I'm going to really get into that. But I think you've got to use all of the mediums and learn all of it. So and obviously, if you know that this club's got CDJ 3000s, that's the standard setup, that A9 mixers or A10 mixers, whatever the standard setups are. You have to be geared straight for that. You've got spare USB sticks. You've got this. You've got that. So you're tooled up for this. Might go wrong. So if you want to go out on the circuit, you're going to have to embrace those tools. You've
got no choice.
You've got no choice.
But it's fine being in your bedroom or your living room or buying the latest releases and saying, well, this is what I do at home, or this is what I do as a hobby. But it's not the definition of what a real DJ is.
And if you want to do a vinyl set live, you can. Or if you wanted to put a little night on for you and your pals, vinyl only, you can. There's no one said you can't.
What do you look for in a DJ? Because you've booked thousands of us.
Yeah.
What do you look for in a DJ?
The first thing that most people get wrong, promoters, MCs, DJs, and nearly anyone that wants to be maybe not the raver, is learning how to navigate the industry, which is the hardest part. The DJing part is probably the easy part of it. The actual technical side, becoming a really good DJ, you can learn that 5-10 hours a day if you want to keep doing it. Want to be an Andy C, like he used to practice. If you want to be that person and practice your craft, but then how do you get out there? So what I look for is all kinds of things. Do you know how to navigate the industry is quite important to me, because what I don't want is they think it's this and it's not ever going to be that, and then all of a sudden they're now causing problems. So I look for that. So is the person kind of on the right vibe? What have they got about them that makes them different? Have they got a personality like yourself? You're a great radio DJ. You host well. You back in the days of Labyrinth, hosting on the mic a little bit, and you've learnt your craft and many different, your appreciation of all the types of music and rave music, it kind of stands out, and that's why you're still here, top of your game, and only going higher in your game, if anything. So I look for them sort of traits. Are you obviously good at your craft? Can you mix? Can you do this? Is your set deliverable? Do you know how to play a warm-up set, a graveyard set? Are you going to moan about your set times? How do you conduct yourself in the industry? Do you understand that you've got to try and create some fans and people that buy into you and build energy around you? And so many artists don't get that. I shouldn't have to do that. I'm just a good DJ. Well, that isn't going to cut it. You've got to be not only an exceptional DJ, you've probably got to be better than anyone you can to shine a little bit. But are you making your own music? Are you? And if you are you then hogging your set with just your releases? Don't do that. You've got to play for the people. So it's all about the crowd reaction. If you, as an artist, MC, DJ, whatever, if the crowd are feeling what you do, I will pick up on that, and I will take risks with people and try and work with them for as long as they want to work with me. And hopefully that relationship and there's a journey. Then I like that journey with the individual. For me, promoting is very, very, very personal. So I know many, many ravers. I love that connection. I know the artists. I won't just book an artist I don't know. So it's the connections. It's the feeling. It's like I say, it's a journey. Not all promoters are like that. They don't want to know the artist. They just want to put a night on. They just want to book a load of people. There's a night. I'm not that promoter. I'm many layers into this thing. Yeah. And that's what I look for is that artist as passionate about this maybe as I am? You know, are they really into the subject matter? Do they understand it? Are they just thinking money? Are they just thinking fame? Are they just thinking, or are they thinking about the bigger picture of, I just want to convey myself and I want to perform, and I want people to enjoy what I'm doing as much as I'm doing it. And really, I'm one of them and they're me. There isn't a separation here. Because
as a promoter, there's nothing more unattractive than someone who is good but has an attitude about being good, haven't got to the level that their ego thinks that they've got to.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with that. And you do deal with some really temperamental arseholes who think they're a Carl Cox or a hype but not.
Yeah.
And as a promoter, it's a really unattractive trait, and sometimes we lean towards really fun people who have got no ego, no aspirations of being at the top of the flyer, that are just like great energy to have around.
That's what you're looking for. Yeah, you're looking for that. And back to that, I understand people over time, and you get the worst thing. Someone can, I've been DJing 30 years, you should be booking me, or I've been doing this 30 years. Well, you've probably been doing it 30 years wrong. And you're not going to admit that to yourself. So, look, not all of us can be the Carl Coxes or the top 1% in life, in any industry, in any. But are you happy where you're at, and are you willing to maybe improve? And more importantly, you're probably going to have to give more than you're going to get back. So I've always looked at promoting like that, and I think artists should look a little bit like that as well. We're going to have to give probably a lot of our time, effort, energy. You know, when you think back, all these artists back in the day, they were coming from their bedrooms or wherever, and they were on the radio, early pirate FMs, and they were going around trying to get sets, knocking on doors, handing out tapes, and they were playing for free, and they were doing this, and they were prepared to do the miles, drive 100 miles, do this, play first set, do this. These days, people literally want to gravitate out of their bedroom to a headliner. There's a journey between there, and that journey could be decades. It could be a year. It could be months if you happen to make the right piece of music. There is an air of luck as well, but if you don't, we were lucky.
We were
at a time when something was started,
and then we made our own luck out of that moment.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, right? So people are going to go, well, all right, mate. Like back in the day, like those DJs who ended up doing hundreds of miles and getting big. They was in that moment in time. What in this? Because you are a genius promoting mind, right? You've watched us go from flyers to how we now promote. What would your advice be, whether it's a young person or an older person of our age? What would your advice be to them? Like you've just said, like back in the day, we'd be on pirate radio, or we'd get a residency, or we'd work in a record shop, or we'd give out tapes. Now, what would as a promoter at the level that you're at, who's just had a sold out 30th birthday, festival stages,
for new artists?
What is your advice now on how that person gets themselves known?
Right. So we kind of know, like, this is here now. that unfortunately for all of us, and we don't want to admit this, but kind of that being on social media and the way you do stuff online is your kind of currency. It's your portal. This is your portal for millions and millions of people to maybe see you and appreciate what you're about. And if you don't want to embrace that, even if you're very shy or, oh, I'm just a good DJ, I shouldn't have to do radio shows or be seen or talk or make videos or promote events, or I don't want to do any of that. Well, maybe being a performer is not saying it's impossible, but maybe you're more a producer, geeky type who wants to be shut away and let the music let the music do the talking, yeah? But you kind of need to be everything. So, for example, someone like Pete Cannon, he makes little clips showing how he makes his tunes. He's using all legacy kit because he's so down with 1994 and he wants to make a name for himself in today's market. Someone like him has got this nailed. One, he's making fantastic music. Two, he kind of knows how to navigate the industry. And three, he's making them very interesting little videos and you can connect with him. And that's what it's about. So advice today is you're going to have to be good at your craft and constantly honing that. That's always an evolving process of what is your tune selection? What do I play in this area? What if I'm playing before this person? Should I play this? These sort of things. But if you want to get yourself known, you're going to have to knock on lots of doors, which most people don't want to. They don't. I shouldn't have to approach this one or that one. They should be coming to me. Well, probably no one's going to come to you. And we see this with artists that maybe were getting somewhere, and then they start to tail away, and then they get resentful because they're not quite maybe where they were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe life's caught up with them and they're not prepared now to put in some of these new techniques to sort of make yourself a little bit more relevant again. And it isn't always about how many likes did I get on my videos, or it isn't always, I'm not always looking for that. I'd rather you just had 100 fans or 1,000 fans that were engaged with you. I'm not looking, have you got 300,000 fans? Because that isn't probably what I'm looking for. We're looking for, do people connect with you? And if not, why don't you just go out to these raves then and talk, hand in an old-fashioned CD or hand out the CDs to the ravers. Get yourself known at the end of the night. Go and burn up 1,000, give out a load of USB sticks or stuff like that. Make yourself known as best you can, but do it politely and don't do it sort of forcefully, well, you should book me and not them, or him but not her, or this sort of. Try not to go down that route, and it's very difficult when it's something you're gonna get knocked down. You got to get used to getting knocked down. Yeah, and that's the bit our pride. We don't like that. We don't like well, they won't book me, and people don't like feeling like that.
You know what? It's never been so easy because of the internet. It's never been so easy to get ourselves out there, but it's probably never been so hard for a DJ because there is more DJs than there has ever been.
Like Fish Octagon, you could knock him. People go on one hand, oh, well, he only got somewhere because he's making all them videos. On one hand, he kind of did. Would he have still made them videos in his dressing gown whether he'd got nowhere? I pretty much think he was going to carry on making them for a very long time anyway. It just so happened people picked up on him, and he's gathered success. Do I hear that he's an absolutely terrible DJ when he's out, or conducts himself badly, or people walk away from mass exoduses from his sets? Or no, I don't see that or hear that at all. Is he delivering what he's doing? Yes. Has he grabbed this opportunity? By God, he has. He's grabbed this thing and gone full in with it. He's given up his job, which is a gamble for his family, and then he's investing money into his production. He's investing money into himself, and it's an ever-increasing process for that guy. Yes, you're going to get Marmite. People don't like him. Oh, well, he's only got somewhere because he's in. But social media, the video on the social media might not have been that worked for him, but it might not work. We could have sat here in dressing gowns, all of us, and never got anywhere. It just so happened to work for him at that moment in time.
It's authentic to him, isn't it? Grant, sorry to stop you there, but I'm laughing away. He plays like techno, hard dance, some old school, house, garage, drum and bass. He mixes it all up, right? And sorry, I'm laughing away at the idiots who like play a bit of old school or made some old school back in the day who believe that he's taking work off them. Like he's in a completely different space. It's like going back to what we was saying earlier, comparing a Sharon and Tracy club to a rave. And I think people get so het up on things that they don't understand. And
that's back to learning how to navigate the industry. Now, we're not all born to learn. Look, I've been around this thing 35, 37 years. Even I don't know how to navigate this industry, but I know a little bit about it. And that's the point, is can you get into this subject matter? Can you work your way around the circuits and little camps and people? And if not, put on your own event. Put on your own event. If you're frustrated, I can't get any sets, no one's taking any notice of me, put on your own event. Put it on for free, get your pals down, capture the moments on video, and then try and present yourself. And then, for every 100 doors you knock on, 99 might say no. And that's just life. You're not going to get everything you want when you want it. And maybe it never will happen for you either. Be prepared for that. But are you doing it because you're still passionate and want to do it? If the answer is yes, carry on. If the answer is, well, they haven't booked me now, well, that's that then. I'm going to get rid of all my equipment and sell it. And there you go then, that's me done. Or
Fish Octagon's up there playing to 10,000 people playing techno records, but I'm over here making some 91, 92. You can't
compare those worlds.
And you know what?
He's in a different universe to us. He's elevated into the higher tier scene. And yes, is it quite an industry now? Are big corporations and agents and people doing very complicated contracts with artists to kind of be their handlers, owners, to control their careers? But yes, they are. But they're investing zero telephone number money into those events, into those labels, into that music. They're taking risks with you like you was a pop band. So, of course, they're going to want their slice of you as things go along. They're going to want their slice of what you're doing, and no one made you sign those contracts. So if you've been given that's like a golden ticket, but that hasn't happened for most people out here. Most of our people in our scene, that has not happened to.
Yeah, I've got loads of questions going through my head about agents, about the changing way of promoting. Do you know what? We'll touch on agents first, of how, and I guess really we're very fortunate, like when you have had the time that you've had where you've listen, what you've just said about your advice to DJs, if there was one person I'd listen to, it'd be the person who's been here for 30 years, lost his house, lost a fortune, inputting DJs on it. It would be this man here. And agents, we're very fortunate that because of the time we've put in, and what we do is when we deal with agents, they're friends and people who it's easier for us to deal with agents because our DJ mates can be so forgetful like me. What's it like sometimes when you book me? Oh, all right, Grant, I'll do it. And then I forget that I don't even put it in the diary, and we need either like my Sonia or an agent to deal with it. Agents in the modern world, how they're in that festival world.
Anyone that knows me on my events knows I'm very anti-agents, because for me, I book every artist I book. It's a personal relationship with, and that's the way I want to keep Epidemik and me involved with Epidemik. If someone else was running Epidemik, they might choose, bloody hell, it's a lot easier just to use agents perhaps. But for me, I like that connection. When artists go, oh, I'm too busy, talk to my agent. At that point, I look, they're too busy for Epidemik. They've outgrown maybe what we do, and that's fine. That everyone's allowed to conduct their business how they want to. But for me, it's I like the person. I like the haggling. I like the connections. I like the relationships, but that isn't for every artist. Doesn't always want that. And then for someone like me, it's like, well, that's maybe the end of where we're at. I don't want cold business. This is a people business, and it's hearts and minds here we're talking about. And I want to connect. I want to feel I want to believe and feel what you're about as an artist, and I want that feeling maybe back to our event a little bit. Yes, for you, as an artist, it's just another event maybe. It's just another event that weekend on your calendar. But I don't always want it to just be another event. I want you to come and maybe stay a few hours and come and party with us and feel like you're part of it. So to me, it's that connection. But yeah, there's obviously a need for agents because artists get very busy. They want their diaries, help with their diaries, and some agents are better than others. But yeah, as certain people go up, but I wouldn't get too caught up in agents, especially if you're starting out. You're going to have to fight your own. You're going to have to be your own agent. The best agent is yourself. That's the best agent in the world. A lot of artists lose lots of work because they think, well, I'm this now, I need this much money, or I'm not going out, I'm not getting out. The famous thing, I'm not getting out of bed if it's less than that. Well, someone else will, and that's that
you
opportunity.
Better stay in bed then.
Yeah,
mate.
better stay in bed.
Yeah.
So yes, I do get there's a business element, especially when there's a crossover. Are you going to do this for a living, or are you going to do this as your hobby? Trust me, those who do this as their passionate hobby have got such a huge advantage over those that have done it or doing it for a living, because you can make your weekends as busy or as not as busy as you want to. For the professional, they've got to fill their diary up by one means or another. And so there's a huge difference. And there's nothing wrong in being semi-pro, hobbyist, or if you've managed to take it pro level, then really that's fantastic. But not everyone can quite. You're going to have to go through all them tiers of novice to hobbyist to semi-pro to maybe never getting beyond that to then being pro to maybe having to come down a division to go up a division. You've got to be prepared to move. You have to work. Look, here's something in life. Any sportsman will tell you this. Sportsperson, you've got to work so hard to just stay where you're at, let alone getting better at where you're at. You've got to work absolutely impeccably. Your work ethic has to be so driven to stay where you're at, let alone getting better. People think, oh, it's just a one-way journey up. Yeah, sometimes it could be for you. If luck and talent and all them things, that beautiful journey comes together, then maybe you're one of the lucky ones and it all worked out very fast for you. And that's great. But for the majority of us, that's probably not going to be the case. If you really want to go and do this, you probably can.
You've got to be relentless in every aspect, and you're relentless with knowing what your passion is and getting out there. Relentless being willing to learn and embrace change.
Yeah. Yep.
Relentless in like making sure you're round the clock doing it.
Yep.
And every it doesn't matter whether it's music, you say sport. That's how.
And you're going to make mistakes.
And oh mate, like
you're going to make mistakes.
I still love mistakes and I still love a challenge. And like now and again, like I'll have to wake up and go, oh, even at 50, even after 35 years of doing this, I weren't expecting that, and I need to navigate around that and dig deep into like
every event I do to this day. I learn on every event. I learn something. I thought I could do that, and then something else comes along. A curveball comes along behind the scenes. You could have the venue taken away. This could go wrong. You could have power cuts on the night. You're having to get generators in, floods, things. Artists not. You're always learning, and life is we're all learning all the time, and that's not specific. We don't get to a certain age and we've learned everything now. That doesn't happen for any of us at any age with anything in our lives. So why should that be with music? You're always a learning process, and we're always trying to improve on what we're trying to do in whatever level of what you're trying to do.
How much has promoting changed, or promoting an event now, how different is that to promoting an event 30 years ago? Like the tools that you use, the way in which you do it, the planning, how different is getting those numbers through the door now? We
thought it was hard back every 2 to 5 years. I always say it's getting harder. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and don't want to work as hard maybe, but it becomes different. It becomes different is the words. You got to use the tools around you. So back in the day, it might have been flyers or primitive methods of promoting. Word of mouth is still to this day the best way to promote anything. We all know rumours and things spread so fast. It's obviously now the internet and all the social media platforms are there. I personally don't get overly caught up in all the social medias. Yes, you've got to be pretty present in what you're doing on there, but it isn't the be all and end all. You can still use the old methods. We still do go out and do a bit of flyering here and there and connect directly to the people. I think you kind of got to do a bit of everything. You could spend fortunes on posters all around London or radio adverts on commercial stations. It's never ending. You could, if your budget is there and you want to spend that kind of money, it depends what you're trying to do with getting the message out there. You've got to rein it in and use the tools that you feel work for you. And maybe that's different for different people and different events and different situations.
Yeah. Because you still do, like, it blows my mind when, like, you're still out there flying and still doing flyers for your event, and it's still so authentic to what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not everyone. Look, not everyone's going to take a flyer because they're like, well, even somebody, well, what's this? They look at you don't even know what it is. So yeah, I still believe in flyers. Not everyone's going to, and that's fine. It's each person or promoter to their own, what tools they want to use to get the results they want to get. So each to their own, isn't it?
Yeah, Grant, like there's documentaries out there. It's always been, it's in the news a lot. It's in newspapers a lot about the nightlife industry shrinking. I think there's a documentary out there at the moment in which they're saying, I think in 2029 all clubs could go, and like there's this sort of like I'm going to use the word disastrous look at what is going on in nightlife industry, and in my kind of like in our small world, in our selfish small world in which like a small amount of us have continued this rave thing, and we put on our raves and we're supporting this, and we identify that this has been hard forever doing this, but then there's this sort of like outside world that don't really come into our world that are saying clubs are closing, it's harder for promoting, it's harder. Yeah. We're always preaching that promoting's hard. Yeah. So like when me and you have it hard, we blame ourselves. We're like, well, we shouldn't have done that day, or we could have worked harder. But that's just us. That's our personal experiences. We're both a long time in doing this. What's your take on the overall current climate in the, I'm going to call it the outside world. Would you call it the outside world to what me and you do?
Look, we see the doom and glooms. We do see more clubs closing and opening, which is always sad. I touched on it earlier. When we see another club is lost, we have fond memories of all the clubs that we have lost over the decades, or it now becomes a space for something else, or the club owners can't afford to keep, they can't keep it going. Where is the future with that? It's one of those where it might evolve, but, daytime clubbing has become hugely popular, for example.
I'm really happy with that. So, sometimes I'm home in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I quite like it as well now. And it really would have been uncool. Obviously, the only time we went daytime clubbing is if we were out Friday night, just about got home Saturday morning, got a couple of hours kit, back out all night Saturday night, and then we're like, come out in the morning, well, where can we go now? So we're then going out to like a sunny side up or something on a Sunday morning, all afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and that was the only time we pretty much went daytime clubbing. But daytime clubbing has become a huge thing for both young and old now. It isn't just the middle-aged lot going out, because it's convenient for the kids or whatever. The younger generations really enjoy going out clubbing and raving during the day. So in some ways that's helped the clubs, because if they've got 24-hour licenses, they can trade throughout the day and night. So that helps their revenue come in and keep, if they're very clever, they can keep their clubs going. And I think that's the future of clubs is, it might be people have got to all pull together and build a community club. Enough people are passionate in their area. There isn't a venue. They do a fundraisers. They get some backing or something, and they have to create their own spaces. Or you have to utilise somewhere else, get a temporary events notice 499, and create your event there. Clubs, unfortunately, the London nightlife or city nightlife in many cities in the UK, across the UK, it's the same story, isn't it? The cost of living, people can't afford to go out. Business rates are going up. The government want this, the government want to tax that. We can't afford to spend so much. So it kind of paints a very doom and gloom picture on the future of clubbing. But I think there'll always be passionate. There'll be the odd millionaire or this one there who's prepared to just open up a space and keep something going. I don't think clubs will totally disappear by 2030 at all. I think that's just a sort of just a load of press sort of thing.
Yeah, agreed.
It's back to the future generations to keep this going. Bottom line is, since cavemen times, we all want the beat of the drum and music. Music's not going away. Do people want to go out and experience their music, whether that's live music bands or rave, digital music or whatever? Yes. And future generations are going to want to go out and experience that. So there will still be a need for clubs, and it's not going away.
I agree. And
for a very long time.
While we're talking about clubs and you're speaking with an expert opinion, reel off just the names of clubs, or even if it's just some of the clubs that Epidemik have promoted.
Yeah, over the years we did do the Four Aces Dalston, the last ever one there, 98. We did Oscars. I did Southend, the Palace Ballroom for a couple of years. I've done Bagley's, done Ministry of Sound for 5 years, a couple of events at Fabric. What else have we done? We've done many. We've done things out of London like the Junction in Cambridge. We've done Newmarket. We've done Stevenage for about 9 years. We've done Hemel Hempstead, the Vaults. We've done the Vaults in Brighton. So we've done the Vaults and the Vaults. We've done the list. Yeah, I could keep going. Coco Camden. Yeah.
How are you even forgetting Coco?
Yeah,
dude?
what a venue that is. And that was my most favourite venue. I used to do a merchandise stall there every Friday night for Peach, before I went to go and fly Fabric later on. So, yeah, I used to love that venue. And eventually I got to put on a few nights there for a couple of years. And, yeah, I really had some...
Fire.
Yeah, Fire and Lightbox. Area, yeah, sister venue of Fire and Lightbox.
I know that you're forgetting loads and loads and loads, but you have literally done the best clubs. You know, just the fact that you did Bagley's and Coco, you know, like iconic clubs is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I never planned to do those. So even when I was doing Oscars, I remember having a meeting with my solicitor and he went, well, imagine you was doing something at Ministry of Sound. And I was like, well, I'd never sell out and do things there. And I looked at that as a corporation, and little did I know 5, 6, 7 years later, I'd be doing Ministry of Sound nearly monthly. And back then I was actually doing the Junction in Cambridge in the same month. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how we did it back then. And we had this really good era, sort of the mid-2000s, where I was putting on loads of parties all the time, and just probably my peak, I suppose, of doing events back then. And very thankful and grateful to all of those venues we've done stuff with, all the ravers, obviously, that came, and the artists that have worked with us, and yet again, the crew that helped us put these events on.
Yeah, and what about the festivals? What you've hosted stages at some huge festivals.
Yeah, done a few festivals over the years. New World Festival of recent years, a long journey there with Floyd for 5 years trying to help build that festival. Previous to that, another big festival I was working with is HD Festival, trying to make that work. And that's the one that sort of hurt us quite a lot, that particular project. But we have hosted many tents at other festivals, Connected in Lyd in Kent. We've done... quite a few over the years, Moondance even, we've done arenas for them in their festivals and things, so yeah, it's quite a few festivals we've done over the years. Zombie Fest, I could start reeling off.
I'm sure I played for you. You've had a tent once at Westfest.
No, it was Sanctuary. I was thinking about that the other day. It was actually the Slamming Vinyl guys who run Westfest, very good promoters, guys I look up to actually, and they actually took on Matterley Bowl, where Boomtown is, and done this sort of Sanctuary Fest. And we actually we did an arena there. It was about 2004, from memory. So I was actually thinking about that the other day, because I felt sorry for them, because every year they did it was sort of May bank holiday, and because it's in Matterley Bowl, the rain, they always had the rain, and it sort of rained them off. So they sort of stopped doing that.
Have you had many real heavy promoter run-ins with other promoters over dates and
very good question.
All that passion in your heart and all that hard work, and not only is it the hardest game with the biggest losses in music, it's also the most egotistical and the most territorial. Do you want to share maybe one hairy moment, or maybe two?
There's quite a few hairy moments with even at Oscars with a big drug dealer in the area at the time that tried to take the club over. So it isn't always other promoters. There's always someone trying to disrupt or displace your energy or have a dig at you, I don't get used to it this day. It affects me quite a lot, and I take it all too bloody personal, and we shouldn't do. And yet promoters equally in their own things are equally passionate about what they're doing, okay? And then, if you've got a conflict of dates, there can be a few funny phone calls or words exchanged over the years with different promoters and people. Luckily, with most of them, I kind of got to know them all, and we've all got our little ways as promoters because obviously I was doing the flyer pack. So, but it still didn't stop a few of them coming out to try and either, disrupt your event, take the venue away, block artists, all the sort of skullduggeries that might go on. None of it, and then. I look at it the other way around. When people are now come on my date, look, I always want to play cricket kind of straight down the line. There's no point pulling fast ones. I don't feel comfortable doing it. And those who want to operate like that generally don't last.
They never do.
They never do. So if I've come across these situations more probably in the 90s and the noughties than now, with certain promoters, individuals or camps, they're very trying to disrupt your event or your energy. You've just got to try and combat it maybe head on and just go and talk to them or just say, no, we're not backing down. We're not backing down. Yeah. Sorry, we're not backing down. We're not, and then, if we're going to get something's going to happen to us, then it's going to happen to us, It's a bumpy ride. Promoting is not a smooth ride. You're going to come across a lot of obstacles and problems and some. That's just the nature of the beast, I'm afraid.
So Grant, what's the future for Epidemik?
It's a very, very good question. And if I had those answers, then I would love to say, but honestly, I don't know what the future is. I take each project as it. I kind of these days don't want to always rush into events. It's more, has it got a meaning or a purpose, or has it got a feeling about it, or has that venue kind of come my way, or is there sort of an ambience about it? Like when we started doing Brighton 5 or 6 years ago, and we're still doing it. There's something about the area, or that's really the future for me is kind of try and maintain what I'm doing, which is, as we spoke, that isn't easy. Just to even stay where you're at it takes a lot of effort, and kind of maybe I would love really the brand to continue without me in the longer term future, whether that's possible or not. So, or will I still be 99 doing this? You never know. I'll come back in a load of years and we'll see. Or will next year I just stop? Who knows? I think you don't know those answers because I don't run Epidemik like a proper business or with a major plans way in advance. It's more, I want to keep it that organic feel that we spoke about. I like it where there's more a feeling to what we're doing, and then I can put my energies into it.
Would you say it's a way of life running Epidemik for you and promoting?
It's become maybe and I'll touch on it in past, too big a part of my life. Sometimes it can dominate, it can exhaust your resources, your money, your time, your energy, and then are you getting the balance? And touching back on that, you've got to get the balance in life right. Is it sacrificing relationships? Is it overlapping into your workplace? Is it overlapping into other things it should or shouldn't do? Are you too into that? But I guess we could be anyone that's passionate about what they do. Yet again, you're driven, aren't you? You're driven to do what you want to do. Is it a way of life? I never planned it to be, but it's become the same as probably yourself. in the early days, if someone had said to you, will you still be DJing? Will it become your full-time career and job? You wouldn't have maybe been able to answer that. It's just something, and there would have been peers that you were DJing around at that in your early years that aren't now DJing now, because it just wasn't going that way for them. So I think it sort of grabs hold of you, this thing, doesn't it? And you don't quite realise it's done it, and now you're in it. You're in it.
Because there's quite a fascinating psychology to it all, like the ups and downs of it, like the huge losses, the huge like energy rushes. It's really like high octane. And it takes a special mind to be dedicating 30 years to the intensity of it.
The emotional roller coaster, the punishment you're going to be put through that people won't even ever know that you're going through whatever you're going, you until you're the one wearing the crown of thorns, putting something on. And I suppose it's like putting on a wedding for your daughter or something. You don't really want to do it too many times, and you want to get it right first time, blow the money, and then, Christ, did everyone have a good time? Right, it's over now. Sometimes I look at events a little bit like that. You know, you've got to put so much in to get often very little out. But obviously the result is, did everyone have a great time? Is the feedback good? Predominantly, there's always going to be people that find fault or something. That's just the world we're in, you know. And then can you now maybe gather your momentum and build yourself up to go again? But it is like running a marathon for me. After an event, mentally and physically, I'm absolutely exhausted for many days or weeks, even months sometimes. People don't see that side of it. Whether you had a good or bad one, you still had to put all that work in, that side of it. So people don't want to talk about those things very often, that promoting can be quite soul destroying. You know, you lose maybe friends or partners or people around you, or they're like, bloody hell, you're off doing that again, gosh, you're doing this again. And you're combating that, as well as someone's got to do this to get this thing done. So yeah, there's definitely, as we touched on, that darker, you've got to have something in you that you're willing to get back up and carry on when all the odds were against you, or it went really well, and that might inspire you. Yeah, that went really well. Let's go and put on 10 other events. But I'm not really that kind of promoter who looks at it like that. Other people, that's a big mistake some promoters make. You get a form of success, and then you suddenly think you've got the buy-in, and then you're up and running. But that's a danger when you're a promoter, knowing when to do it, when not to do it. And none of us will always get those decisions right, and don't always believe that just because you had a good one now, the next one will be good. It doesn't quite always work like that.
And we see a lot of people chase their losses as well, don't
yes,
we? To the
that's
point
a huge danger, yeah.
To the point where they lose everything, as you found out, as I've been at the end of in the early days. Yeah. It's a heady game.
Yeah, you could lose $2,000 here. Next one, you lose 5K. Next one, you make 3K. You're slightly back, and then you're thinking, well, I've got to make that now to come and then maybe you never got back.
I guess any sane person watching this would go, well, why do these two idiots do it for all this amount of time?
Yeah, exactly that. Why would you do it? And it's the same reason the guys at the bottom of their shed spend hours doing their car up, because they just want to do it. Yeah, it's not about I sold the car for 10 grand, but I spent 30 grand doing the car up. It was the point. It's the passion. It's the passion. The guy at the workshop, he enjoys his engineering. He enjoys making something work that didn't work. An old rusty car, he's had to do it. And it's the same for us. We enjoy the challenge of trying to do it and making people happy. And can we make it? Yeah, ultimately, can financially we make it work is the goal, of course.
And when you say financially make it work, I know that you don't mean making money.
No,
you mean
breaking even. Yes, that is, for me, the bar. You're setting your bar to break even. Anything better than that is a win. It's promoting, as we say, like gambling. It's not what you think you're going to make. It's what are you prepared to lose? What are you prepared to lose on your balance sheet before you even start? Once you've got that figure in your head, then maybe go. But if you're doing something small or just for friends, or then fine. You haven't got to maybe worry too much about the finances. It's only when you know, money's the ruination of us all, isn't it? It's only when things become bigger and now you're taking bigger risks. You've got bigger venues, bigger this, bigger lineups, bigger promote, and then you're like, oh God, and you're carrying this weight. You've earned your money in whatever else you do in your life. So you've gone and hard-earned your money. For me, it might have been 3 jobs at the time or something. And now I've just gambled all that money on something that could lose it all. But I've got to now work all this. I've got to work so hard just to try and win my money back that I'd already earned.
Gambling.
It's called gambling, yeah. It's called gambling, and that's basically what it is. It's not quite as you're looking for I guess we're looking for the hit of, wow, that was a great event, and that feeling, that momentary. It's like winning at the horses or something. Yeah, your horse came in, and that's addictive. Maybe that feeling as the odds of this, and I earned that much, and
I guess really,
maybe it's a bit like that. But it's learning to have some control over your. So I think we go through the process with promoting where we understand our losses. We then understand, are we still going to do it? And for a lot of people, there's a fork in the road. You're going to go one way or the other. No, you're now not. You've learned not to do it, and then you carry on, or you now become more calculated with your risks and embrace the dangers, but you embrace the journey. And more importantly, what I've tried to learn to do in more recent years is try and actually enjoy it more. So you're enjoying, even though yes, every event will have its moments, either during it, prior, or after. So there's things that even after your event, it isn't finished then. It could be things that come out the woodwork or something, So you've just got to learn these things are going to be there, and some of them things you can't actually do anything about, which is very frustrating for us old humans here who think we control and can do everything, but we can't control the weather, for example. So
a train strike,
or the world. The world is in a very chaos place. There could be something. The mood of the world, the mood of what people are in generally could affect your event. Funnily enough, it's just that you can't control these things.
Yeah, well, I remember we did an event over at Electric, and it was when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. And it was just doom and gloom on the telly that week, and it really affected.
It will, yeah. Politics, football, a big thing that affects promoting the World Cup or football. You could go and plan your date, June, July, whatever. And I've been caught out doing this, and I had an event in Southend. It was an England-Germany game, absolutely ruined my event, and I didn't know that. I hadn't planned that many months ahead, and I didn't realise the draws potentially we could have got through. Eventually to play Germany. I think it was about the year 2000, that event. And, and most people go, oh, people are out anyway, it's football. Yeah, they're out down the pub watching the football. Then now the energy's taken away from your event, and you can't combat something as huge as football or, like you say, political matters or huge things that are out of your control.
When those things happen, we've both been privy to, let's say, for argument's sake, selling 1,000 tickets, but only half of them coming, only half those people turning up. We're privy to that.
It's a huge thing nowadays where between 10 to 30 to even 40%, definitely more than 10% of your ticket sales do not attend on the day or night of your event. It's just a thing now, more so than ever before. Did people just buy a ticket? Oh, they're either ill or don't go or forget or all of the whatever. There is that now. That is a factor. Now you might think, oh, that don't matter to you. You've got their money. What are you moaning about? It's the bar taking as well. So all the while that extra 200 people aren't there spending money on the bar, not that we get the bar, but there might be an offset between that bar taking and the venue hire, for example. So if they're spending on average per head, and that's now knocked your bar takings down, that now going to hurt you because you're going to have to pay more premium price for the venue. But people don't always see. I could go on about hundreds of things like that people don't see or want to see because they never have to see it. They never have to see all these other elements of promoting. They just see the flashing lights, the loud music. Oh, when you book some DJs, and that's about it. They only see those components. There's like 500 components to running an event. Yeah. There's so many layers and components to running an event, and the logistics or the laws or licensing or just the science behind this, working out your health and safety on this, doing that, signing that. The list goes on and on and on and on for all different types of events or situations. And so it isn't always just about the music, which obviously is what we focus on, but it's all the other stuff that people aren't thinking about. You know,
with our combined knowledge, I don't think we're going to put any promoter off of wanting to come in the game. We're going to have even more promoters to compete against over the coming years.
And good luck.
Look, yeah,
I've been that promoter that I have helped many promoters, even promoters bigger than me, promoters equally to me, and promoters smaller than me. And I've always tried to be honest and tell it as it is, and just
that's all we can.
That's all you can do. Yeah, I will never advise people, you're going to make loads of money out of promoting, the same as I wouldn't if you want to become a DJ. I would be like, well, have you got, a lot of times I say to people, have you got a 9-to-5 job? Is that paying your bills? And have you got enough money then to finance you going out at the weekend to go and do your hobby of DJing or something like that? A lot of them think, well, no, I've done a music course and I've done this now and I've learned how to mix, and well, that's it, isn't it? Where's my wages? And that's what they don't get, is you're going to have to position yourself and learn the industry, as we said, and navigate it. And it's the same with promoting. Yeah, I will always encourage people to make, if they're passionate and want to run a party, then knock yourself out. But you're going to have a lot of challenges on your plate. So just be prepared for that. And not everyone's going to help you or be with you. In fact, you'll suddenly realise most people, in fact, aren't with you at all.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's back to being that a bit of a loner here. I find promoting, sometimes I've been up all night, can't sleep, then have to go to work and I'm stressing and sweating. No one sees that side of it. No one sees you're on your own. And sometimes you really are on your own. And it's like, my God, and it's a scary feeling, isn't it? It's a scary feeling.
Especially if ticket sales are flopping.
Yeah.
Right, before we scare everyone off of ever wanting to promote, anyone who's got
it's
aspirations.
Easy.
It is really easy.
Just book a line up and all these suitcases of money turn up.
Yeah, black sacks.
Black sacks.
That's it. Give up work.
Give up your job.
Be a promoter. Give me some standout moments of like events that stick it from the past 30 years of you putting on, like, you think maybe even nearly 1,000 or over 1,000 events. A couple of standout moments that you look and think, wow. And I'll give you a couple of standout moments from your parties.
Yeah. At random, in no specific order. So I did something at the O2, which was Proud 2.
That still hurts me that I was stuck in traffic and didn't do my set.
Yeah, and that event, I remember walking into there before I did it, a few months before, and my pals and that are with me, my crew, and I was looking, wow, this is the Matter venue, which was the sister venue of Fabric at the time, and Fabric had a lot of bad luck. So basically the Jubilee line was down, so that was being refurbished and some works going on, and also the Blackwall Tunnel was shut. So there's only really one way into Greenwich there. They were running minibuses, and it pretty much bankrupt Fabric itself. They had to close down and reopen their business. So they had to close. They'd invested all this money in this venue called Matter. So anyway, I rocked on up there, and it had been took over by these guys in Camden called Proud, and they called it Proud 2 at the time. It later became Building 6. But anyway, I've walked in this huge venue, and it's massive, and and I'm like, wow, how am I gonna? They're like, oh, do you want to run a night? I'm like, no, this is too big for me. It's too much money, and I'm not going to do it. And then on the way out, there's just something about me, and I went, I'm going to do it. And I don't know what that part of my brain just took over. So immediately, now I've bought into doing this thing at the O2, and I found it it was a Friday night, wasn't a Saturday night. Saturdays are easier than Fridays. A little tip there for any promoters. So it was a Friday night. And it was a difficult day. It was November, and it was, I think, our 11th, 16th birthday, I think it was actually. And it was. I've took on this huge monster. So that's the problem with promoting. It's like taking on this huge thing, and now I've got X amount of weeks and days and minutes and seconds and hours to try and make this thing break even. And we absolutely worked our socks off. I lost a couple of my crew over it, because I worked them so hard. I worked round the clock. Now, the result was I put in extra arenas, even they weren't allowed to have music outside. I done silent discos, broke rules, did this stuff. Me, as usual, always trying to put extra things in, extra this. and we made it work. We pulled nearly 5,000 people on a Friday night, and that was more than anyone had ever pulled there, and it was a really good party. And I'd put on coaches, I'd gone deep, really deep on this project, and we made it work. Now, that was a major highlight, but the actual highlight actually that some people will know is it stressed me out so much putting that party on that I actually had to go and put another party on, right? Another party on so I could have a party, so I could de-stress. And it happened to be called an event called The Way We Were in Dagenham in a pub.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Now, the reason that event came about was because I'd done the O2 and it had stressed me out so much. And I then had to go and put on this really underground naughty party in this pub, and it wasn't allowed and whatever, and it was squatters, and even the police come and, yeah, it's all right, mate, in the end, and, you know, the local gypsies came, and this party gained this momentum. All the artists wanted to be part of it. Bagley did his 40th birthday there. This event picked up, like, it was all underground how it used to be, and this thing ended up going like 2 or 3 days in the end, and this party was just sweat off the seat. It was everything, you know, and I just did it because I wanted to have a party. I wanted to enjoy myself and just get back, because I don't get to enjoy my own parties, obviously, and I just wanted to have a party, and I needed to de-stress, weirdly enough, by running another party. So that was quite a huge, you know, 11/11/11 is the O2. So that was the date back in 2011, and then The Way We Were was born out of.
Yeah, The Way We Were was brilliant.
Yeah. And that was done in less than 2 weeks. So sometimes I'd spend months promoting this thing at the O2 and literally run ourselves ragged, and we'd live in there, and, you know, we were living in London, literally kipping. When I go out and promote, most people think, oh, you go out for a couple of hours. No, my kind of promoting is I'd go out Friday night, cover somewhere at 2 a.m, be somewhere else at 4 a.m, cover something at 6, then might have a kip in the car, try and find an after party that closes at midday the next day. Then I'll still be in, I won't go back home. I'll be kipping rough, I'll be doing, and then I'll be back out the whole next night promoting. So literally I'll do, it might be 2 of us, 5 of us, 8 of us, and we're living it like that. We're not going out, well, we've done our little bit, off we go. That we were in this thing really heavy to make that O2 work. And and I spent months doing all that. And then this other thing, no flyers, really. No flyers. It was literally whacked up. I had another mobile number, and I did it in 13 days. and just because I wanted to run a party, just because I was that stressed out. I needed to de-stress.
De-stress by putting
on another party. How mad is that?
One of, I would say, my happiest memory of playing at Epidemik for 30 years was when you broke your leg. And there was that festival over Lid, and no one had seen you.
Connected Fest, yeah.
And you hadn't been out, and you just turned up on your crutches, and it was like really emotional. And then when I was playing, we both went out on the front of the stage, and like it's like he's back. Like,
and that's another thing. I actually snapped my Achilles tendon, so I didn't break my leg. And actually, I did it at one of my own events. So as I said, there's a physical payoff, financial payoffs, and mental payoffs with running events. Now, I was doing an event at Fire, and I didn't feel too good that night, and I didn't leave my little room or anything, and then I literally left once, came back, didn't feel right, and the second time I left, and I literally walked out, no crazy breakdancing or anything, my back of my leg felt like I'd been smashed down. I literally collapsed. I thought I'd been hit with an iron bar. I literally collapsed, walking out, and it felt like, as they say, you know, David Beckham or someone, it feels like you've been shot in the back of your leg. And if you ever have that feeling, that's your Achilles tendon has snapped. And I was out for nearly 200 plus days not walking, and I couldn't then. I still had events I'd committed to.
The crew
the crew carried on. They were really, really good, and I could have gone to them in a wheelchair all day, but I'm quite a proud person. I didn't want to do that mentally, and it really hit me hard. Trying to recover from this Achilles tendon, and then I was fit enough and back on crutches, and just turned up at Lid, and that was a great day.
That was a magic moment, wasn't it? Magic moment. Yeah, I've played some amazing parties for you, amazing parties, and your Epidemik are hosting my 35 years of
looking forward to that in October.
In October, it's logically, you know, my relationships with so many people, whether it's Labyrinth, Helter Skelter, you know, like so many people, but where where I DJ so much music, where you represent so much music, like you go into like the hardcore that I've done as well as the old school and the acid house. You're just like the most logical promoter to be doing my 35 years event, and I can see even when you're looking, you smiling, even when you're talking about the downsides of it, you're smiling. When you talk about the upsides, you're talking about smiling, like you're smiling. It is your life. Promoting is your life, good or bad sides of it. And yeah, I think, like I've said many a times, you're up there in the greatest promoters the rave scene's ever had.
Yeah, it's a hard task. I commend any promoter, and I know a lot of promoters over the decades, and I feel for them when they suffer the same problems. Some are more proud than others, and it's not easy to do, and I commend anyone that's had a go or having a go or does what they've got to do to make stuff work. And
the love of making people dance.
Love of making people dance, and you know, I look back on my early raves I went to, and I was always thankful someone's put this on, or my local club at Oscars, or even your Labyrinths and that, and venues like that. You were grateful for these clubs, and you realised that these people have to dedicate a lot to keep their stuff going, you know, and that takes a lot of tenacity.
Yeah, and a lot of grit. Grant, I love you to bits. Thank you.
An honour and a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I'm looking forward to being a DJ at your events for the next 30 years, and you stressing me out while you're stressed out, but we'll keep on making people move.
That's all what it's about. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Love you.
Thank you very much.